Star ratings are an indication of the amount of energy that the fridge uses under test conditions. The amount that it uses when you get it home will depend on how many times you open and close the door during the day, what temperature you have it set at. It also will depend on the ambient temperature in the area that you have it. So if you have a very hot kitchen, it's likely to be using more energy than if you have a cold kitchen. And that's why it's a good idea not to put it near your oven. You'll probably notice at the moment that you get some fridges that have 4 or 5 star energy ratings and some that only have 1 or 2 or 1.5. That's because recently the star rating system has changed a little. There are 2 of them going at the same time because some old fridges are still allowed on the market. You can tell the old ones because they have a green stripe on the bottom. You should also look at the actual energy used there because it not only gives stars but the actual energy used in figures. Big fridges obviously use more energy than small fridges, but they may have the same star rating because we take into account the volume of space that they have to actually cool. When you're working out how big the fridge should be that you want to buy, you not only have to work out how big the fridge is, you have to remember how much room you have to leave at the sides and the back and up the top. To work efficiently, the fridge needs to have airflow around it so that the coils can dissipate the heat that they're taking out of the inside. And also you've got heaters down the side that stop the doors from icing up. If it can't dissipate outside, then your fridge has to work harder to dissipate it inside. In general, you have to leave about 2.5 centimetres on either side and 5 centimetres at the back. If you can leave more, that's even better. And probably about 10 centimetres up the top. The ideal temperature for storing most foods, fresh food, is 3 degrees in your fresh food compartment. If you are storing things in your freezer, then ideally it should be -18 or less. The biggest fluctuation that I've seen in a freezer during testing is about 8 degrees. When we're testing fridges, we also test the uniformity of the temperature in both the fresh food compartment and the freezer compartment. You do get some really big variations sometimes, especially between the top and the bottom. I think I've seen some that are up to about 4 or 5 degrees. Most fridges these days have an automatic defrost, and so the temperature will cycle, and that will cause a change in the temperature. But there are also fluctuations in the fridge temperature anyway as the compressor turns on and off. You want to make sure that the freezer temperature is low enough to actually keep a good freezer temperature even during those cycles. A chiller that actually works as a chiller will keep a temperature that is about 1 degree or less, no matter what the temperature in the rest of the fridge is. Crisper should keep the vegetable slightly warmer than the rest of it. You don't want them to get anywhere near freezing. The dairy compartment, the butter, it has a cover to help keep smells and things out, and also to stop so much of the cold air from getting in, to keep the butter a little bit warmer. Crispers these days often have a humidity control because one of the problems with storing vegetables in the fridge is that the fridge is a very dry environment and they'll dry out. So this keeps it a little bit more humid and hopefully your vegetables will stay crisp. You have to be a bit careful, however, because if it gets too humid, then they might actually start to rot. Convenience features don't have any special temperature properties. They may be slightly warmer because they may not get the same airflow through them, but they're not particularly designed for a particular temperature. You can get fridges these days with self-closing doors. And these are wonderful when they work. Once it's open, you push it closed. It may have a bounce back point, which is fine because then the door bounces wide open and you know that it's open. If it gets past that, with a self-closing fridge, it should actually close completely. Unfortunately, there are a few that have a bounce back, but then even if you push it that little bit further, they don't close completely. So you can see from this that a fridge alarm is a good thing, a door alarm is a good thing to have, and a lot of fridges have them these days, but not all, so it's something that's worthwhile checking. A lot of the bigger fridges, more expensive fridges these days, have inbuilt ice makers and ice dispensers. These are a wonderful feature if you're actually going to be using it, but don't forget they take up space in your freezer and they need to be plumbed in. They need to have the water filtered, so you're going to have maintenance on that all the time.